Hi, Dr. John Douillard here with LifeSpa.com, where we prove the ancient medical wisdom of Ayurveda with modern science. And today I want to talk about the dangers of bubble wrapping your diet. You know, in the last 40 years, we have, without realizing it, been bubble wrapping our diet, which means taking foods out of our diet that we don't digest well, thinking we solved the problem, but we're really just sweeping the real underlying digestive problem under the rug, and there's real consequences to that I want to talk about in this video and in the article associated with this video with all the science at LifeSpa.com. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching this on my website, also think about subscribing to our newsletter and check out our Ayurvedic store with all of our organic herbs at LifeSpa.com. Okay. Bubble wrapping your diet. You know, in the last 40 years, when I first got into practice in the 1980s, I'd had patients that would, have trouble eating wheat and dairy. We'd take it out of their diet, and in short order, the problem would come back. And I realized that just taking the food out of the diet early on was not really going to solve their problem. And over time, not only the people not able to eat wheat and dairy, but soon other foods like other grains and beans, and even something in Ayurveda called khichdi, which is the medicinal food in Ayurveda, the thing that they would give to people when they were sick in the hospital, or the first food for a baby, because it was so easy to digest. They would split the beans and take the husk off, cook it with split with the rice dehusk, and cook it with herbs and spices and make it super easy for folks to eat and digest, sort of like a medicine. But now folks can't even digest khichdi in our Ayurvedic cleanses we give. We have a khichdi ghee cleanses that we do. People can't even digest that. So taking the food out of the diet didn't strengthen our digestion and make us stronger. It actually made us weaker. Okay, so it's really important that we figure out how to strengthen your digestive system. And I've written many articles. I've got a couple of ebooks, one called Troubleshooting Your Digestion ebook. It's free. I've got many articles about your digestion, how to reboot that and fix that. Really important to understand that. We should also know that pesticides in our foods are part of the problem, because they literally kill the microbes that literally make the digestive enzymes that help us digest the food that are more difficult to digest. So one of the reasons why we have slowly become weaker digesters is because we've been spraying our foods with pesticides that kill the microbes. You take microbes out of the food, take the microbes out of you, you're a completely different person and wouldn't survive very long. Every living creature has a microbiome, and we've basically done a bang-up job of killing that microbiome, and that directly links to our digestive strength and our ability to detoxify. So, but the good news is that the good bugs like lactobacillus, they've been shown to actually sequester and grab a hold of some of these pesticides and keep them from doing their dirty deeds of robbing us from digestive enzymes, which is why when you take probiotics, I'm not a big fan of them for the rest of your life. I'm a fan of using colonizing probiotics, which have been proven to adhere to your intestinal tract and create permanent residence, so they become a part of your gut microbiome and naturally support the proliferation of good, healthy bugs in your gut, versus becoming dependent on a pill or a powder or a probiotic. And at LifeSpa.com, you go to our store, type in Flora Restore, Gut Revival. These are our probiotics that have science to show that they stick to and adhere to your gut and increase the proliferation of permanent bugs by 40 to 60%. So check those out. Now, it also should be known that there's something called Hormesis, which means, I don't like this definition, but it's sort of like, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. Well, I wrote an article about that, and it shows that when people take a little tiny bit of pesticide, it actually strengthens us. So it's okay for us to be exposed to a little bit of these toxins, because it actually strengthens us. And it's okay for us to eat harder to digest foods, because those have a hormetic effect as well. The gluten, the lectins, the anti-nutrients, the goitrogens, the nightshades, the oxalates, these are all harder to digest foods that have a bit of an irritant along with them. They irritate the intestinal lining, and that is why you and I have gut immunity, which is 70% of our immune response. Now, if you take all those foods out of the diet, you lose a reason for gut immunity. And studies now show, and I wrote an article called The Dangers of a Gluten-Free Diet, they showed that people who are gluten-free have 4 times less mercury in their blood than people who eat, people who are gluten-free have significantly 4 times more mercury in their blood than people who are eating wheat. They have less good bugs, more bad bugs, and less killer T cells than people who are eating wheat. So it's really important for us to realize that the science is in, because we've been bubble wrapping our diet long enough to show that our immune systems are compromised, our digestive strength are compromised, our ability to detoxify has been compromised. And in an environment where we dump 70 million tons of toxic chemicals in our atmosphere every year that filter down the water we drink and the food we eat, you have to be a good digester, therefore detoxifier. And that's what Ayurveda is really, really all about. So the foods have a hormetic effect, but we have to reboot that digestive strength, which is really important. And you know, what's also really interesting about this whole concept of bubble wrapping your diet, we think by bubble wrapping our diet, I can eat more plant food. A lot of people go from eating meat because they don't feel good eating meat to going to a vegetarian or a vegan or a plant-based diet, which is the right way to go. But on those plants are the harder to digest foods, the anti-nutrients, the goitrogens, the lecitins. These are all on plants. So what happens is people go onto a vegetarian diet already with a weak digestion, right? And then they start eating these foods that are actually a little harder to digest because they've got anti-nutrients on them that protect them from getting gobbled up by bugs in the soil and in the ground. So they become a little bit harder to digest. So they sort of more quickly go into a nutritional deficiency because they're actually eating foods that are a little bit harder to digest and they don't have the good digestive strength to start with, which is why most folks change their diet to become more plant-based. Of course, the number one and only really good reason for becoming a vegetarian is because we don't feel good about how animals are harvested and that whole thing, which is a real reason. However, being a vegetarian, you have to do it right, otherwise you can pay a big price. And if you go into it with weak digestion, you're probably not going to do well. You'll do well for a while, but in short order, you're going to find yourself with some type of nutritional deficiency or just feeling bad. And that's why it's so important for us to go back to the beginning and fix the upstream cause, which is your weak digestive strength. So one of my favorite ways to do this is just to start, of course, troubleshoot your digestion, fix the weak link with herbs and foods, and I give you many resources for that. All my ebooks go into that to some extent. Many of my articles at LifeSpa.com, just search up Your Digestive Concern and an article will pop up to help you guide you through that process. But eating recognizable foods is really easy, right? Just eating foods that you recognize. In other words, you're eating a tomato or an avocado, or you're eating a bowl of a porridge which came from oats or a grain that you recognize when you put it into the pot, you knew what it was. That's recognizable food. Avoiding sugars or added sugars are really important. Getting rid of anything with processed oils, which are preservatives that extend not only the shelf life of the food, but they don't extend your life. And of course, when you're looking at the ingredients, you see chemicals that you don't understand, just don't buy it. Just stop doing this American, highly industrialized food thing and start eating foods old school that you recognize. Now, one of the ways to reboot your digestive system is with our cleanses, our Colorado Ayurveda cleanse, which is a 14-day digestive reset, lymph cleanse, liver cleanse, and a detox of the pesticides and PCBs out of your system in just 1 week by 46 and 48 and 58% respectively. So it's really good science by some of these cleanses, and the ability to reboot your digestion is critical. This is the springtime, great time to year to make that happen. So learn more about our Colorado Ayurvedic cleanse on my website at LifeSpa.com. And also, please just troubleshoot your digestion and get that fixed up and take the food out of your diet for a while. If you don't feel good with it, go eating it, but don't stop there. Let's go upstream and fix the real problem. Alrighty, thanks for listening. I'm Dr. John Douillard. Do you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe and share.
This recording is brought to you by LifeSpa, where ancient Ayurvedic wisdom meets modern science. Get access to free health video newsletters by Dr. John at LifeSpa.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.